Hi, my loves. My name's Michelle. I'm from Soulful Wellness. I am a coach, energetic healer, somatic practitioner, and I work in Melbourne. I work with women around the globe to help them fall in love with their lives, to help them fall back in love with the fullness of who they really are. We do that by reconnecting with the body, by sharing the tools of energetic healing, coaching, somatic practice. I love sitting with women in circle. I gather monthly with women. So if you're in Melbourne, you're always welcome to join. And then, of course, I run wellness retreats. And so I'm really excited today to talk to you about a somatic practice, or to share a somatic practice of some energetic healing, probably include a couple of essential oils that came through. But this combination of healing has been instrumental in my own life, in my own healing. And so I have been working with clients for 20 plus years in the realms of yoga, meditation, Reiki, and Seishem, so energetic healing. But I have also been searching on my own health path. So I had an early life trauma, and it wasn't until recently, so I've done endless amounts of therapy, energetic work, and work with coaches and amazingly and talented healers. But it wasn't until I got this last piece of the puzzle that I'm going to share with you today about balancing the nervous system that I really noticed ongoing shifts in my own capacity. So I didn't need to go back and see healers so often. I started to notice real and tangible shifts in my career, in my relationships, in my ability to be really present. And it meant that I didn't have to manage my state nearly as much. And so once we start to look at this nervous system regulation, moving us away from what is likely to be our current state of dysregulation, I'm going to lovingly suggest that it's February 2022, and if you're a human on the planet, that at least in the last couple of years, you have probably got some stuck survival stress in your system, given the nature of what has been happening globally. And then, of course, beyond that, whatever your life circumstances looked like prior to now. And of course, we also know that trauma can be stored and passed on through the ancestral line. And so I'm really excited that in this generation, we are finally understanding the way that the nervous system stores stuck survival stress, trauma, and most importantly, the ways that we can actually process that. And we're going to process that in a really safe way today. We're not looking at, we don't need to identify your trauma. We don't need to know the story of it. You don't need to regress or revisit anything. We won't be, there's no danger of us having any sort of flashbacks or emotional experience when we do this trauma shaking, this trauma release that we're going to do. Instead, what we're doing is working on a somatic level, so through the body, to release the way that that emotion has been stuck, because emotion gets trapped in your tissues and fibers. And so when we can shake and release some of that, there is a physical release of the emotional block itself, which is epic. So why are we doing that when this event is about love? And the reason why is because your nervous system can have you behave in certain ways. So if you are experiencing dysregulation, please excuse my voice. I've had a terrible chest infection and I might need to cough. So when we are in a state of dysregulation, we have like a background program running that is affecting and impacting, are the words that I was trying to say there, the way that we behave, the way that we view our world. If you have experienced any sort of trauma, and I'm going to define trauma actually, I'm going to just read this for you before I get deep into the practice today, so that we know that what I'm talking about when I talk about trauma. Trauma is a really hot word at the moment. And so when I'm talking about trauma, I'm not defining capital T and little t trauma. What I'm using is the definition by Bessel van der Kolk, and he wrote The Body Keeps the Score, which is an amazing resource if you haven't already read it. But his definition of trauma is an event that overwhelms the central nervous system, altering the way that we process and recall memories. Trauma is not the story of something that happened back then. It is the current imprint of that pain, horror, and fear living inside people. And so when we look at that as a definition, it doesn't really matter what the thing is that happened to you. What matters is the way that your body experienced that thing and the way that it has stored. And so when we talk about this stuck survival stress and how it shows up in our relationships, if you have had any kind of trauma, for most of us, we will have learned early on in life to disconnect from our body. If you're not present in your body and people say to you things like, oh, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no, you'll be like, I don't know. You can't feel a fuck yes any more than you can feel a fuck no. People would say that as a coach, people are like, oh, it's a fuck yes. I don't know what you're talking about. Because I wasn't in tune with my body. My body wasn't able to give me messages apart through illness and fatigue. Because I was so caught up in my mind space, right? So when we start to look at regulating the nervous system, what that will mean for you is that you no longer repeat the same patterns. When the nervous system is dysregulated, when the nervous system is looking for safety, often the way that the nervous system seeks safety is sameness. And so that can show up for you in terms of repeating relationship patterns. You know, you think you've done all the work and you're feeling amazing, and then you put yourself back out online. The guy that you're dating, or the girl that you're dating, feels entirely different to previous partners, and yet 6 months down the track, you're like, oh, they feel like the same person. And so this is your nervous system still seeking intensity or sameness in an attempt to find safety. So when we can regulate the nervous system, you have an internal barometer of safety, which means that you have a more neutral place to be able to seek those things that you truly desire in a relationship. It is safer for you to be vulnerable. It is safer for you to lean into intimacy. It is safer for you to be present in the body. It is safer for you to experience pleasure. It is safer for you to experience disappointment and hold tricky conversations and navigate boundaries rather than armoring up. And so I want that for you. And so today we're going to play with a really easy practice. You will need to find a place to lie down. The floor is usually easiest if it's comfortable for you to get up and down off the floor. Hopefully a little quiet space where you can set up. Basically, I'm going to lead you in like we're doing a little meditation. There'll be some energetic work happening also. And then we're going to do this trauma release exercise. And so it's just a really simple movement. It shouldn't hurt, but it's not particularly intense. There's no danger of us invoking any kind of flashbacks or PTSD kind of responses. This is just the physical movement of stress. So one of the things just in terms of knowing when I talk about stored survival stress, I just want to give you a really brief background because that helps manage the mind game as well, right? And so we talk about the autonomic nervous system, which is your automatic nervous system. And so if I had a drink of water right now, I wouldn't have to tell my body to swallow the liquid, to remind it which way it would process it and where it would go and how it would affect my cells. My body would just do all of that. Same as my body just grows my hair and it just expands my lungs when I need to breathe, and it just moves blood around my cells and it extracts waste and all of those things. And so our autonomic nervous system is also the nervous system that looks after this fight, flight, freeze mechanism. And so what we know is that domestic animals and humans can experience ongoing stress response. Animals in the wild don't have stuck stress responses. What happens is an event happens for them, and if we remember our definition. So in the wild, if you're a gazelle and you get chased by hyenas, you'll either get away or you won't. You'll be eaten. And so what happens is if you get away as a gazelle, once you realize you're out of danger, you'll shake. And you will shake off that stress. That whole incident will be contained. It will have been processed from beginning to end. And so you don't carry it with you. As a human being, or if you're a domestic animal, you can, exhibit A, cat. If you have a stress response, often we don't get to complete the stress cycle. What happens is, thank you, kitten, that's Frankie. What happens is it gets interrupted. We're socially conditioned to shut it down, suck it up, try harder, toughen up. We are raised by people who don't have the capacity to deal with their own emotions, let alone navigate ours. We have not been taught how to lean into that emotion without being overwhelmed by it, how to allow it to process safely, to stop us carrying it into each of our experiences ongoing. And so this process today can be done every day. You can do it after a stressful event. You can also do it just at a regular time to process the events that have already been stored in your nervous system. So you can basically use it to clear the decks, and as life continues to happen, to make sure you're not adding to the load. So I want to dive in. I invite you, if you need to pause the video so that you can get set up. This is not a place to hang on and just get by. We want this to be really comfy. This should feel really delicious. This isn't going to be stressful. We're going to invite you gently back to a place of returning to the body, feeling loved and safe. That's the main component of nervous system safety, is in the invitation to feel safe. Then we're going to clear some space in the tissues, and then I'm going to lead you out, and it should feel kind of dreamy. At any moment, if you need to, you can stop. A lot of the work that I do is channeled, and so today, some essential oils that came through for us to work with are rose, the oil of unconditional love and the heart chakra, myrrh, which is the oil of Mama Gaia, so earth, deeply grounding, nourishing, holding, safe, steady. And then the last one, which is helichrysum. And so helichrysum is for deep old wounds, clearing, healing, soothing. It's like a beautiful balm. So I have already put all of those oils in the field. I'm wearing them myself. And so know that they're the energies that we're calling in today to assist us. And so if you're in a place where it feels good, you can close down the eyes, allow yourself to lie on the back. Feels good, you can have the legs outstretched for now. And just allow yourself to connect with the breath. Allowing yourself to feel the hands and notice whether they want to rest on the heart space or on the belly. And allow the hands to move to a place that feels good and safe. Allow your hands to bring you comfort, ease. And as you have an awareness of breath, perhaps noticing already that the breath may have begun to deepen and lengthen without any effort at all. Noticing perhaps whether the mind is busy, and allowing the mind to be just as it is. Extending the invitation to be captivated by the breath. Perhaps you can feel the breath as if it were rising in the belly, feeling the belly rise on the inhale. And as you naturally exhale, notice the belly fall. Allowing yourself to breathe into each and every corner of the belly. Allowing yourself to rest on the floor, feeling supported and safe. And then imagining perhaps whether you can extend the breath as if you could breathe down to the soles of the feet. Allowing the breath to pull around the feet. Imagining the feet deep in contact with Gaia herself. And feeling the deep holding and the anchoring of your own breath of Gaia. Feeling the sacred and safe space that we are creating together. And notice whether you can invite in just 5% more relaxation in the body. Taking the breath to any parts that may be holding on. And allow yourself to breathe yourself here. Honoring everything that it has taken for you to arrive in this moment, and allow yourself to land even more. Allowing yourself to feel the force traveling through you as breath Feeling the life force supporting you without obligation, lovingly serving you with an invitation to come home, an invitation to rest in the body. Allowing yourself to set an intention to open your energetic architecture even wider now, to allow yourself to receive more love, more support, as we move into our process of releasing stuck survival stress. And so the way that we're going to do that when you're ready is the invitation is to slide the feet. So pop the feet, soles of the feet on the floor, and to slide the feet towards the buttocks so that the knees are bent. And then allow the knees to drop out. So the soles of the feet come together if that's comfortable. And if you need to create some space between the soles of the feet, depending on your hips, allow yourself to do that. And so you want the knees to drop out. If there's any tension in the lower back, create more space, move the buttocks further away, move the feet further away. And so allowing yourself to lie in this place, maybe it feels good to rest the hands on the belly. Outside blades of the feet resting on the floor, knees leaning towards the floor. Kind of making a diamond shape with the legs. If it feels good, you can keep the eyes closed or the gaze lowered. And all we're going to do is press down through the blades of the feet, the outsides of the feet, in order to lift the hips. It doesn't have to be much. And so for some of us, we might need to move the feet apart a little bit to just lift the hips. And what we're working to do is create fatigue in the psoas muscle, the hip flexor. And so if you have any kind of tightness or pain, come back down. But you should just feel a little lift and allow yourself to breathe, feeling yourself supported, noticing what comes up in the mind. And taking long, deep breaths here. For some of us, this muscle will fatigue quite quickly and you might get like a little shudder, a little shake. For some of us, it will take a little longer. And so ideally, we want to spend about 2 minutes in this place. If you really feel fatigued, if any of the muscles start to grab or clench, then come back down, rest for a couple of breaths, and then raise the hips again. Just remembering that this isn't a place for you to just get by and hold on. The more that we can create safety as a felt sense, using the oils, using breath, using tone of voice, reminding the body that you are safe, the easier it is to repeat this pattern. The easier it is for you to find this as an exercise that is pleasant. This release and process doesn't have to be dramatic or intense. And so finding the breath, noticing if the mind has wandered away, allowing the buttocks to rest on the floor. And then notice whether it feels good to windscreen wipe at the knees or to stretch the legs long. And take a couple of deep breaths. Notice what's present for you. Allow yourself to return to the safety of the breath and just witness as you allow yourself to be in your body, noticing any shifts that may have already occurred. And if you feel like you're up for another round, drag the soles of the feet back in close to the body, to the buttocks. Allow the knees to drop out. Take a deep inhale, and then as you exhale, allow the hips to rise. And allow yourself to lean in. Allow yourself to feel the support that surrounds you. The support that you have called in, whether that's through practitioners, community, family, whether that support is ancestral, whether it comes in the form of furry friends. And allow yourself to be and breathe, remembering that if the muscles fatigue and you need a break, that you can drop the hips down, but also allowing yourself to lean in, to be curious about this sensation of shaking, this sensation of release. Allowing yourself to tuck the pelvis under and then to slowly release. Again, checking in to notice with your body whether it feels good to extend the legs long, whether it feels good to pull the knees into the chest and have a little wiggle, to windscreen wipe the legs. And when you feel ready, allow the body to just settle, whether that's with the legs long, whether that's with the feet wide, knees bent, and the knees leaning in together. And again, find the breath. Allow the hands to rest on the belly and the heart space. And allow yourself to offer yourself deep gratitude as you breathe into your own heart space. This sweet heart, this tender place that continues to show up for life, that continues to desire more, that continues to allow itself to be cracked open to give and receive more love. And so as you lean into this practice of release, allow yourself to also welcome the space. To welcome the deeper levels of self-intimacy and inquiry. A felt sense of presence and grounding. A remembering of your intuition, your internal guidance, your yes and your no. To allow yourself to meet yourself in this new place. Feeling the possibility of new love, new relationship, new ways of being seen and held and loved and celebrated. New ways of being in connection, of pleasure, of day-to-day routine. Know that the space that you create by listening to the whispers of your soul, by allowing yourself to release all that no longer serves you, that has simply become stuck, an unconscious pattern, allowing yourself to honor the dark, dense places, and trusting that it is in these places that we so often find hope, support, where we are able to commune with all aspects of ourselves and truly create the fullness of who we are, and to allow ourselves to share that even more openly with those who are ready to meet us. And so allow yourself to breathe into the space that you have created, perhaps noticing the support that continues to rise up beneath the body to hold you without effort. And allow yourself to just be, to be in this place of receiving, of openness. And to notice what it would take for you to show up like this. To allow each and every moment in your life to be a place of giving and receiving. To allow yourself to celebrate your own fullness, your own humanity, your own mess, your own beauty, and to be loved for all of it. And so breathing in that love now, feeling it radiate through every cell in your body, expanding out to amplify the resonance in your entire field, And when that feels complete, allow yourself to begin to notice that perhaps you desire to move the hands and feet. Perhaps you're beginning to feel ready to swallow, to maybe moisten the lips. Maybe feeling ready to gently rock across the hips. Maybe it feels good to stretch the arms overhead in a delicious stretch. Moving in whatever way feels good, that allows you to be aware of the body, to have you feel that you're re-inhabiting this beautiful body of yours, this vehicle that allows you to show up in full presence, in full love, in full radiance. If you haven't already, you might feel like blinking open the eyes. And so knowing that our process is complete. Know that this is a process that has been energetically charged, and so you can re-watch this anytime that you like. You can redo this psoas release. There are other practices that we can do together. There are cognitive practices, somatic practices, and energetic work that I share with clients to help them move beyond this stuckness, this meh, is that it? This place where they may be having chronic fatigue, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, immune conditions, all of these things that can be linked to nervous system dysregulation. These places where we can actually settle the mind so that you can be, just be, honestly, where you can come from this place of neutral and then you can add in whatever it is that you desire. And so thank you for joining me today. I hope that you found it useful. If you'd like to connect further, there is a special offer for the Love Breakthrough Collective. And so you can go to my website, which is Soulful, Soulfull, as if your soul were full, Soulful Wellness Melbourne. The link will be provided, and then just shoot me a little message through the contact page saying Love Breakthrough, and you'll get 5 sessions with me for $700. And we can work on whatever it is that you desire. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Go gently, working in the subtle realms as we have done, working with the somatics. Please drink lots of water, be really tender with yourself. If anything comes up for you, please reach out. I'd love to hear how you experienced today, and I'm open to all feedback. So take care, be well. Oh my goodness, come on, tech. Take care of yourselves.